Justin, and I bring you episode 8 of Economics for Today and Tomorrow. Today I want to talk about price controls. Now, many citizens in many countries cry out to the government to intervene whenever there is inflation or price fluctuations. And that explains why today I want to look at price control. Price control is an act by the government to legislate prices of goods and services, and it legislates them either above the equilibrium price, and that gives us the price floor or the minimum price, or it legislates them below the equilibrium price, and that gives us the price seal or the maximum price. Now, in many developing countries, price controls are common. But price controls would have been more ideal in socialist economies because government has ownership in allocation and distribution of resources. There are some countries that have done price controls like Liberia and Tanzania, but the question is that where does government actually come in to legislate prices? We can have rent controls. This can hinder the landlords from just increasing the prices of their rental space each year. We can have price controls on drugs or pharmaceutical products. This can enable us to have better health services. But we can also have a minimum wage. In this case, the minimum wage reduces income inequality. Now, in case price controls happen, everybody must know, policymaker or citizen of any country, that price controls have macroeconomic implications. These can be positive, but they can also be negative. The positive implications of legislating prices, for example, a minimum price can have advantages, such as a minimum wage reduces income inequality because it literally means everybody gets that wage when they actually get into employment. Now, because this minimum price is high, it implies that once government sets it, it has boosted the economy in case it has been in a recession or a depression. So we shall have more people coming in to exploit available resources. This in turn leads to increased supply. This minimum price also leads to economic growth because there's increased production of goods and services. It does not mean that the maximum price does not have advantages. It also has advantages, but to consumers, because at a low price, even the low-income earners can be able to consume goods and services. This maximum price maintains price stability because it becomes illegal for anybody to sell above the price. Now, both the minimum and maximum price have disadvantages. Now, a high minimum wage, for example, leads to a change by most of the producers from using labor to using capital, and that leads to unemployment. Also, a high minimum price increases the cost of production, and as long as cost of production increases, what was intended for good can turn out for bad as inflation occurs. Now, this high minimum price, much as it boosts production and supply of goods and services, it leads to a surplus on the market, especially when supply is not matched by demand. A maximum price can equally be bad because, according to the law of supply, at a low price, producers supply less. So when a maximum price is levied, it leads to disappearance of certain goods. It also leads to misallocation of resources. Producers will choose to allocate resources to where there is no legislation of prices. It can also lead to bad practices like smuggling of goods. So all this can be intended for good, but it can turn out bad. That's all I could share for today. Wishing you God's blessings. That was price control and how it happens in the real world.